You see them everywhere, right? The person with the shiny new luxury car, the designer bag, the Instagram feed that looks like a travel magazine. On the surface, it looks like they have it all figured out. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Behind that perfect facade, there's often a much, much different story. So you see that person in the brand new $80,000 Mercedes and you think, wow, they must be loaded. But here's the thing. Statistics tell us there's a really good chance they're actually suffocating under a massive pile of debt. And meanwhile, the actual millionaire, the person who's genuinely wealthy, they're the one quietly driving that beat-up 7-year-old Toyota. They're buying their clothes at Target, and you know what? They could not care less what you or anyone else thinks about it. So, what if I told you that most of what you see, most of what people show you as wealth, isn't really wealth at all? It's a performance. It's a carefully crafted show designed to get your approval, while the person behind the curtain is barely keeping their head above water. Look, we have a serious problem in our culture. We've completely lost the plot. We've forgotten the huge difference between looking rich and actually being rich. And let me tell you, that confusion is the exact trap that keeps millions of people broke. This is probably the most important thing to get straight. People think a big paycheck means you're wealthy. That's a total lie. Income is just cash flow. Think of it like a river flowing through your hands. Wealth is the part you manage to capture and keep. If you make 200 grand a year, but you spend every last cent on a huge mortgage and car payments, you're not rich. You're just poor with a bigger tax bill. So why are we so easily fooled by the illusion? It's all because of something I call the visibility paradox. It's simple, right? Your eyes can see the Rolex. You can see the BMW. You can see the giant house. But what you can't see are the things that tell the real story. You can't see the maxed out credit cards. You can't see the zero balance retirement account. And you sure can't see the panic attacks they have at 2 in the morning when they realize the bills are due. See, true wealth is almost always invisible. It's that $500,000 investment portfolio working for you 24/7. It's the peace of mind from a paid-off mortgage. It's the freedom to walk away from a job you hate. Just burn this into your brain. Wealth is what you don't see. Debt is what they show you. Okay, so how do you actually spot the fakers? How do you see through the act? Let's start breaking down their camouflage, starting with the most obvious stuff, the things they wear and the cars they drive. First up, and this one is just a dead giveaway, is the person who dresses like a walking billboard. I'm talking about someone plastered head to toe in huge, loud, obnoxious designer logos. Let's get into the psychology of this for a second. When you do this, you're not buying a shirt. You're buying a status symbol. You're trying to scream to the world, hey, look at me, I have money. But here's the kicker. The only people you're impressing are other broke people. To genuinely wealthy folks, that giant logo is just a neon sign flashing, I am deeply insecure and I desperately need your approval. All right, next up, sign number 2. This is without a doubt the #1 destroyer of wealth for the middle class, the long-term car loan. The fake rich just love to roll up in that brand new luxury SUV. But here's the reality. They didn't buy it. The bank owns it. And they are chained to that car for 7 long years. Let's just do some quick, ruthless math here. You think that's a $60,000 car? Not even close. By the time you pile on taxes, ridiculous fees, and that juicy interest rate over 7 years, you're actually paying over $80,000 for it. And here's the part that should make you sick. After making payments for 7 years, that $80,000 vehicle might be worth, 15 grand, if you're lucky? You have literally set fire to $65,000 of your own money, all for the privilege of impressing strangers at a red light. It's insane. But the real cost, the truly devastating cost, is the opportunity. That $65,000 you burned, if you had just invested it in a simple, boring S&P 500 index fund, it could have easily grown to over $250,000 by the time you retire. You traded your future financial freedom for heated seats. Let that sink in. And then you've got the person whose social media is just this endless stream of perfect exotic vacations. 1 month they're in Bali, the next they're skiing in Aspen. But the dark truth is, so often these trips are financed with 25% interest credit cards or those sketchy buy now, pay later schemes. They're literally going into debt for an Instagram photo. It really all comes back to this one central idea. Loud money, the flashy stuff, is spent to buy attention. It's a payment for the validation that quiet, real, genuine wealth simply does not need. Okay, so the flashy clothes and the expensive cars are just the surface. They're the camouflage. But what happens when life, actually happens? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the incredibly weak financial foundation propping all this up. And this is the moment where the entire illusion just shatters. A tiny, unexpected expense is all it takes to completely expose the fake rich. I'm talking about the $500 emergency that triggers a full-blown meltdown. Just picture it. The guy wearing the $3,000 watch hits a pothole and blows a tire. The mechanic says it's $500 to fix. And suddenly, this rich guy starts sweating. He's frantically swiping through his banking apps trying to figure out how to pay for it. Why? Because for all the flash, he has zero emergency savings. His entire lifestyle is a house of cards built on debt. And this perfectly highlights a super dangerous way of thinking. I need you to listen to this very carefully. A $10,000 credit limit is not $10,000 in the bank. It's $10,000 of permission the bank has given you to completely destroy your financial future. The fake rich always confuse access to debt with having actual money. And this leads us right into another classic trap: buying the absolute biggest, most expensive house the bank says you can afford. What you often end up with isn't a home, it's a really beautiful prison. From the street, it's a palace. It's designed to make the neighbors jealous, but when you walk inside, it's just empty. There's no furniture in the dining room, the guest rooms are bare, they have bed sheets for curtains because they can't afford blinds. Every single dollar they earn gets immediately devoured by the mortgage, property taxes, and utilities. They have nothing left over for life, for savings, for freedom. They traded their peace of mind for an address. So as we wrap this up, it all comes down to one really simple but critical question you have to ask yourself. In your own life, with your own money, what is your focus? Are you building real, quiet, invisible wealth? Or are you just chasing the appearance of it? Because I promise you, the answer to that question will determine your entire future.
You ever find yourself scrolling through your phone and just feeling a little bit behind? You see the luxury cars, the designer clothes, the insane vacations, and it really looks like everyone is just crushing it. Especially when you're young and feel that pressure to succeed like yesterday. But what if most of what you're seeing isn't real? What if it's a trap, carefully designed to keep people broke? Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain. We're going to talk about the fake rich and, more importantly, lay out the actual roadmap to building real, lasting wealth.
So, let's start with the most important question of all. What does real wealth actually look like? I mean, really. Is it a flashy watch? Is it a fast car? Or is it something quieter? Something almost invisible? The answer might really surprise you, because that image of wealth we get blasted with every single day, it could be nothing more than a performance.
All right, so let's start by unmasking this big performance. In this first part, we're going to break down the common, almost theatrical behaviors of people who are way more focused on looking rich than actually being rich. Think of these as the red flags, the things that'll help you see through all the noise on your social media feed so you don't get sucked into playing the same losing game. Okay, what's kind of wild about this is how you'll probably recognize these types immediately. First up, you've got the price tag announcer. You know this person. They just have to tell you how much their steak dinner or their new shoes cost. Then there's the transactional networker, who collects contacts like Pokemon cards, always dropping names. And of course, online, you've got the uninvested guru, selling you a 7-figure dream from a rented Airbnb. And the aesthetic hustler, who just loves posting pictures of themselves hustling, more than, actually working.
And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. That person announcing the price of their watch, they're not really talking to you. They're trying to shout down their own insecurity. They're desperately trying to convince themselves that the big price tag makes them valuable. It's a performance that's fueled by a need for approval, not by genuine confidence.
Which brings us to a fundamental truth, a core idea you have to remember. Real wealth is silent. It's quiet. It's confident in its own existence. It doesn't need to scream. Fake wealth, on the other hand, well, it's completely dependent on an audience. It needs your validation, it needs your likes, it needs your envy just to feel real. Without you watching, the whole performance is completely meaningless.
Okay, so we've seen what this whole performance looks like. Now let's go a layer deeper and look behind the facade to understand why. I mean, why would anyone knowingly choose to stay broke just to look rich? It seems crazy, right? Well, we're about to get into the really powerful psychological and, mathematical forces that keep people stuck in the self-destructive cycle. So, at its core, the problem is actually a really basic financial mistake. It's getting caught in the trap of buying depreciating assets. I like to call these money-burning machines. They are items that are absolutely guaranteed to be worth less tomorrow than they are today. That shiny new luxury car, it can lose up to 20% of its value the second you drive it off the lot. Poof, gone.
And this table just illustrates the two paths perfectly. On the left, you've got all the flashy, visible stuff that the fake rich absolutely love because it screams status. But they burn your money. On the right, you have the boring, invisible assets that actually build your wealth. Things like stocks, real estate, boring old investments. The thing is, you can't wear an index fund to a party, and that's precisely why it gets ignored by people who need that constant attention.
But here's where we need to have a little bit of empathy. It's really easy to sit here and judge, but you got to ask the question, why would smart, capable people, maybe even people you know and like, choose this path? The answer, it turns out, isn't really about finances. It's about deep-seated human emotions.
This behavior, it's almost never born from arrogance. It's almost always rooted in insecurity. It could be imposter syndrome, that voice in your head telling you that you don't really belong. Or, and this one is huge today, it's that intense fear of being left behind. A fear that social media just pours gasoline on, telling you every second that everyone your age is way more successful than you. This fear of being kicked out of the tribe, it drives people to prove they belong. And for many, it goes all the way back to childhood, growing up with very little and promising yourself you'd never, ever look poor again. It's all just a desperate search for validation.
And this quote just perfectly captures the tragic, ironic, crazy-making cycle of it all. It's this endless loop. You're spending money you don't really have on things you don't genuinely need, all for the approval of people whose opinions, let's be honest, don't matter at all. It's like building your own prison, one luxury purchase at a time.
Okay, but there is a way out of that prison. And that brings us to the most important part of this whole discussion. How you can actually make the pivot. How you can go from being a consumer to being an owner. This is the roadmap to breaking free. It's about shifting your focus away from looking rich to actually becoming wealthy. And it all starts with a simple but totally radical change in how you see yourself.
This right here, this is the whole game. The consumer mindset asks, what can I buy from this company? The owner mindset asks, how can I own a piece of this company? So instead of just wanting the latest iPhone, you start thinking about buying Apple stock. You literally transform your identity from someone who just consumes value to someone who owns the systems that create the value. It's a massive shift.
Now, I've got to give you the honest truth that they're not going to show you on Instagram. Building real wealth, it isn't glamorous. It's not exciting. A lot of the time, it is incredibly, incredibly boring. It's all about quiet discipline and just relentless consistency over a really long time, far away from any camera or any audience.
So what's the price of admission to real financial freedom? Well, it's simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. It's being willing to look broke for a few years so you can be wealthy for the rest of your life. It means choosing the reliable Toyota over the leased Mercedes. It means when you get a raise, you pocket the difference instead of immediately upgrading your lifestyle. And it means quietly, consistently, letting the magic of compound interest do the heavy lifting while everyone else is busy managing their online image.
And all of this boring stuff, all this quiet work, it leads us to our final and honestly most powerful idea. We need to completely redefine what it even means to be wealthy. It has absolutely nothing to do with a certain number in your bank account, and it has nothing to do with the stuff you own. It's about something way, way more valuable.
Real wealth is optionality. That's the word. It is the ultimate freedom. It's the power to control your time, to control your decisions, to control your own destiny. It means having enough resources so that your life is dictated by your choices, not by your bills.
And this is what that freedom actually looks like in real life. It's the power to walk away from a toxic job without panicking. It's the freedom to take a random Tuesday off just because you want to spend time with your family. It's the deep, profound peace of mind that comes from going to sleep at night without that knot of financial anxiety in your stomach. It is, quite simply, the ability to design the life you actually want to live.
So as we wrap this up, this is the choice that every single one of us has to make. Do you want to spend your life chained to the perceptions of strangers, constantly running on a hamster wheel just to maintain an illusion? Or do you want to build a quiet, unshakable financial foundation that sets you completely and totally free? If you're ready to stop playing their game and start building your own version of real wealth, then you're in the right place.
Hit that subscribe button, share this with someone who really needs to hear it, and join a community of people who are choosing freedom over flash. It's time to take control.